Welcome to the All Average Wrestling Show. I am your host, Brandon BT Taylor. It's been a bit. Life got in the way. Haven't been able to record, so there's a lot to get through this episode. I'm not gonna bore you with the details of why it's been a bit since the last recording, but we are here now. Happy to be back and recording right now. But yeah, so it's been about a month since the last recording. A lot has happened. Seth Rollins was forced to vacate the World Heavyweight Championship due to injury. Likely he's out of Mania, which big loss for WWE there because they put all their eggs in the Seth Rollins basket, and he's out now. He's out, and you got to figure out what you're doing with the vision with Paul Heyman. Because yeah, we're about 2 weeks in, but like they're kind of just, I don't want to say floating around, but it doesn't seem as important as they were pre Seth Rollins turn. So that happened. To be honest, it's like nothing really like we're going like in ring wise, really with either the two major US promotions, WWE and AEW, has really like popped. Like Wrestle Dream, we missed that. That was not a good event. Like it wasn't terrible. It wasn't the worst event they've ever done, but it was not a good event, and pretty much Full Gear is now starting to look like nothing but rematches. You're doing Briscoe Fletcher again. You're doing Hangman versus Moxley again. You're doing Statlander Monet again. The only like somewhat fresh matchup you're doing is FTR versus Brodito. I mean, you're also doing the AEW National Championship, Gauntlet match, and I'll get to that later because I have a whole thing on that one. But I don't know what it is right now with both major promotions. Like this, John Alba said it correct, and he got a lot of shit for it because a lot of people don't want to accept that for the most part, this has not been a good year for AEW also. Because, like both promotions, they had probably a 1 month, maybe 2 month stretch where it was good. AEW's was pretty much the Boston event in April to All In, Texas. So that was probably about what, 3 months, almost a 3 month, where everything they did was legit solid and good. It was good television. It was good watch. It didn't feel like a chore to watch it. And WWE had the same thing. They had about a 2 month run where their shit was good. It was watchable and didn't feel like a chore watching it. That's what definitely was SmackDown. That's what SmackDown feels like. SmackDown feels like a fucking chore at this point. The only real good thing about SmackDown right now is the US Open challenges was with Sammy, now with Ilya Dragunov. But like outside of that, there's nothing on SmackDown that's watchable. The whole show is not good. And it's been that way for a hot minute. SmackDown, I would not be surprised if we get to next month. We're sitting back, looking back at this year, and we come to the general consensus that the worst weekly show of the year, and I'm not counting NWA or fucking TNA. NWA is pre-recorded months in advance, and TNA, for the most part, isn't really live. So live programming from week to week. If you sat here and you said Friday Night SmackDown was the worst weekly live show for wrestling of a major promotion this whole year, I don't think you're getting much pushback from it. It hasn't been a good show. And that's probably been the one, like, kind of somewhat consistent, just like AEW Collision. Like, SmackDown just hasn't been good. Last night's show was not good. It really wasn't. And it looks like we're going towards another rematch with Cody and Drew. So I don't know they gotta figure it out. I put this as a down year, but yeah, I do. I put this as a down year for WWE. I think it's fair to sit here and say that Triple H has not had a good year creatively. He hasn't. And it all started with a lot of people want to point back to the John Cena heel turn and how nothing was really followed through with that and how that was butch. It really started at the Rumble. It started at the Rumble because now as time goes by, it looks more and more clear that Jey Uso was not the right choice to win the Rumble. Was not the right path. And it's just he's not, I don't know what it is. There's two different Jey Usos here. And this is a side. bar here. There's a Jey Uso that was the right-hand man with Roman, and that looked like, you know what, he could be the guy that unseats Roman and becomes the tribal chief and the WWE Universal Champion when this is all said and done. And then there's Yeet Man Jey Uso. Yeet Man Jey Uso, yes, massively over with the crowd. Probably top 3 at worst when it comes to overness with the crowd, but is winded before a match even begins because of his entrance. Most of the matches he's put on this year has not been good. Most of the programs he's been in this year have not been good. And if you had to pick a wrestler who's truly like fallen, like stock wise, Jey Uso's up there for this year. And with Jey, there was a fear on my end that Jey was going to win the World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday Night Event. And luckily, cooler heads prevailed and they gave it to Punk, which I a little upset with that they're giving Punk a world title reign because I kind of thought this was all gonna lead towards Cody Punk at Mania, and that's where Punk was gonna get his first actual world title reign in WWE. But I mean, you play the cards you dealt after Rollins' injuries, so I guess Punk's the safe pick here. But I don't get it how we went from the right hand man to what Jey is now. Super over character. His entrance is stupid over. But after that, after the entrance, it's just what at this point? Because most of the shit he's doing is not good. And it hasn't been good this entire year. Sorry. And him and Punk getting a 4-star match from Uncle Dave was kind of shocking. I didn't see that as a 4-star match. I saw it maybe at best as like a 3. But I don't know. This whole year down for WWE kind of started with the Rumble, and it started with them strapping a rocket to Jey Uso, where it became kind of clear early on during the feud with Gunther that he may not be hit. This is probably not going to work. And at the end of the day, it didn't work as him as world champion. You had the 2 weeks where Gunther bloodied up Jimmy, which was a great segment, and then the promo after that from Jey to Gunther. That was good. That was really good. That's kind of the Jey we need more often. Instead, we get the 4 letters, 1 word. That's gonna get clipped. And I just don't get it where we went kind of wrong with Jey Uso. Yes, heavily into the Yeet stuff now, but just talking strictly character work, I refuse to flat out believe that Jey Uso cannot be better than what he has been right now. And which really isn't hard because it's been not a good year if you're a Jey Uso fan. Like I don't get it. As a right hand man, he looked like, you know what? He could be world champion. He could be the guy to unseat Roman. He could be the tribal heir, which was just trademarked by WWE, by the way, which is probably going to Jey Uso. Now you can't even get mainly a decent match out of Jey. Can't get a good match out of Jey. Can't really get a good program out of Jey. Because it's all yeet yeet stuff. So take what you will with that. I mean, I might get all back for this one, for the Jey Uso take, but it is what it is. And that jumps me to another person that WWE it's felt like WWE has completely dropped the ball with, and that is Julia. My God, did they fuck up that US title reign? Like the Kiana Julia partnership, fine. Been fine. I don't hate it. I don't think it's done Julia any favors, but I don't think it's hurt her either. It gives something for Kiana James to do, which I'm fine with seeing Kiana James. I thought she was slowly improving before her injury. And I made this point yesterday in the Elite Wrestling Society Facebook group. They didn't have a choice here but to go back to Chelsea Green as the Women's United States Champion because the 2 reigns after Green's first run were fucking terrible to a point that the Women's United States Championship lost all value it had that Green gave it. Zelina's run was not good. Yes, it wasn't that long, but it was not a good reign. And on top of that, she probably shouldn't have been the one to beat Chelsea. And then Julia's reign was not good at all either, to a point where, I mean, if you're keeping Julia as a heel, my opinion is I think you need to move Julia to Raw. I think you need to move her to Raw. Give her something new because it's not happening on SmackDown unless they turn her face. If they turn her face and we're starting to build up to her and Jade Cargill, and I don't think Jade's dropping that title till probably Mania because I think the end game for Mania is probably either Bianca if she's cleared by then, which that is a whole nother topic. That's been a very weird injury because apparently it was a finger injury, but rehab hasn't gone well, and she's been pretty much out the entire year. That's here nor there. I don't see Jay dropping the title till Mania, and it'll likely either be to Bianca, or if it's not Bianca, probably by then you're maybe attempting Charlotte, a babyface Charlotte challenging for the title, which I want to see how that one goes because this Alexa Charlotte partnership, the tag reign has been kind of, it started off like the partnership started off fun and cool. And then since they won the championship, it's kind of just been okay, whatever. But we all know they're going to turn. They're going to break up at some point. If I had to guess, they probably turn Alexa. And my question is under that, does Charlotte continue being cheered by fans? Or is this just they're cheering her because she's associated with Alexa? That we'll see. But back to Julia. I don't know where you really go with Julia from here on SmackDown. On Raw, you right there right off the bat, you got a legitimate top heel you could build for Stephanie Victor because that feels like straight up they're doing Raquel this Monday in Boston, and then they're probably gonna do Roxanne at some point. I don't know if that will be Survivor Series unless they're putting Stephanie in War Games, which I'll get to War Games in a bit because I don't think there should be a War Games match on either side this year. And then if you're not doing Survivor Series, you're probably doing it at Saturday Night Main Event, Cena's last match. But I think after that, they're probably doing Stephanie versus Nikki Bella, which I wouldn't do at all. Nikki's fine as a name that comes in and puts over talent. She should not be in world title programs, and I think that's what we're kind of slow building towards is Stephanie Vicura versus Nikki Bella for the women's title at some point before the end of the year, I think. It'll probably be the last Raw of the year, or it'll probably be the first Raw of the year, or maybe that is what's going down in Saturday Night Main Event. But yeah, they got to figure out with Julia because she's way too talented for them to be fucking up this bad. And I hate to be this ass, but Triple H may have to move on from Road Dogg as the head of creative SmackDown because it's not working. He's not doing a good job. He didn't do a good job the first fucking go around. We sat there and blamed Vince. Yeah, Vince had a lot of say to how bad WWE was around that time, but we're also forgetting how bad Road Dogg was with creative, especially when trying to explain the Becky Lynch heel turn, how Becky's the bad person, even though that story clear as day, Charlotte was the one in the wrong. He was the one on X calling fans pretty much fucking stupid, and that Becky was evil on that one. So that's the guy you trust with your SmackDown creative right now. I get he's your bud, but it's not working. Maybe move him back down. Maybe move him to NXT. Have him be with Shawn. But he should not be the head of creative of SmackDown anymore. You got to get someone else in there. Has to be someone else. This man's batting literally .1 right now. And that .1 is the US Open Challenge. So that's two people they're fucking up. John Cena's retirement tournament. Going to be interesting. I think we all pretty much assume that it's going to end up being Gunther winning this tournament. They're doing LA Knight's surprise opponent. I don't know who they're going with for that one. I mean, it'll probably be Joe Hendry or Oba Femi, if we're being honest. Oba hasn't been on TV in a hot minute. I feel like one of those two is the favorite. I think the long shot is Jericho. And if the rumor is that they're not doing any surprises for the Rumble this year in Saudi, then if Jericho got out of his contract early, Jericho would make sense here. And if Jericho's in the fucking tournament, I'm going to be honest, I think Jericho should be in the finals. I don't know if you give him the win in the tournament, but you definitely put him in the finals. But I don't think it's going to be Jericho. I don't think we're doing Jericho LA Knight or Jericho's returns in this tournament. If when Jericho comes back, I honestly, God, think it's going to be the first Raw of the new year. That's when I think Jericho is going to return to WWE. And it's not even really speculation. It feels like a foregone conclusion at this point that Chris Jericho is going to end up back in WWE, which he does need. I think AEW has grown past the need of Chris Jericho. They did for a while, probably the last few years. They definitely grew past the need of Jericho, but maybe it'd be better if Jericho came back now to AEW because it has been a while since he's been on. The issue with Jericho with AEW is that we saw him every week, so his creative got fucking worse and worse and worse. The good part about Jericho, especially towards his final run in WWE, is that he'll do a few month run, then he'll be gone for a few months, then he'll be back. So you got a break from Jericho, but fuck Chris Jericho right now. John Cena's retirement tournament, stops in Boston this week. I don't know if they're doing a match for him, and I feel like that would be a fucking shame if they're not doing a match for Cena in Boston. I mean, if they're doing a dark match for him, fine, but he should have he should have 4 more matches left, which are his 4 final appearances: Boston, Madison Square Garden, Survivor Series, Saturday Night Main Event. That should be it. Do a random match in Boston. Maybe you do The Miz in Boston, or you do Carmelo Hayes, or you go outside the box and you do someone from like the Judgment Day or Ray, and you have Dom interfere, and that sets up Cena Dom for War Games. Although now it kind of looks like they're doing Dom Ray for War Games, either for the IC title or for the AAA championship. I do for the AAA championship, but that's just me. And then Madison Square Garden, figured out he should be wrestling Madison Square Garden. He should be wrestling in Boston. And if you're going to have him appear at Survivor Series War Games, he should be wrestling at Survivor Series War Games. My fear right now is that he's just doing an appearance in Boston, just doing an appearance at Madison Square Garden, and just doing an appearance at War Games. Sorry about that. And that feels like a letdown because this retirement tour for Cena has been terrible, and it has been something that UE has been a major down from WWE, a major blemish on Triple H for this year. Cena, pretty much there's 2 different versions of retirement tour. There's pre-SummerSlam and their post-SummerSlam. SummerSlam on. SummerSlam on, aside from the Brock match, it's been great for Cena. Before SummerSlam, it was terrible. It was borderline unwatchable. Cena's heel turn. And I want to sit here and kind of look back. Actually, no. I'll wait before we look back on Cena's retirement tour. We'll wait till after Survivor Series. Survivor Series, Saturday Night Main Event, when it's officially over. Because just looking back at it right now, look at the matches he had. Kick it off Cody at Mania. This is where we'll kind of kick it off. Royal Rumble, probably should have won. Elimination Chamber, it set up an all-time moment in the heel turn, but that became nothing of it. WrestleMania, one of the worst main events in company history. The Randy Orton match, which was not good. The R-Truth stuff, which we didn't need. CM Punk match was decent. It was probably the best match he had as a heel. The tag team match, which pretty much got overrated because of R-Truth's return after he was freshly released, which that also ended up becoming nothing, which I kind of saw coming because they didn't want him. They didn't want him back. So that's why R-Truth didn't really do it. And honestly, no offense, R-Truth's 50-something years old. You're not putting all your eggs in the R-Truth basket here. So we didn't need the R-Truth feud. The tag match was kind of a waste. The Cody and Jey versus Cena and Logan Paul. The second R-Truth match we didn't really need. We didn't really need the first one either. After that was, I want to say it was Cody. No. They did, the R-Truth stuff was before. So the Punk match was next. The Punk match was fine. It's fine for what it was. Then you had the Cody match at SummerSlam, which was great. The Logan Paul match at Clash in Paris, that was great. Then you had Sami Zayn U.S. title open match, end up being a non-finish, but that was a good match. I feel like I'm missing a match in between there. I think there was a tag match with Cena and Cody in there at some point. But you had that. The Brock match was terrible. I get they were trying to recreate what happened at um SummerSlam, but I think if anything, they should have recreated Extreme Rules, Brock's return match more than anything, if they wanted to recreate a past match. And then the AJ Styles match, which was amazing. So now, really, you got 4-1, 1-4 matches left, pretty much. So after that, we could probably really sit here and judge the Cena retirement tour as a whole. What's the next thing? There's something else I want to bring up with WWE. Yeah, AJ Lee. That's one I want to bring up. So AJ Lee returned for WrestlePalooza, and we haven't seen AJ Lee since. Wonder why? Because all we heard was when she signed it, she's going to be full time. She's going to be full time. She hasn't been back since, and I think you're kind of seeing it because during her match, and I fell for the nostalgia. I thought it was a great match. When I went back and watched it a few days later, no, it really wasn't. The EO Stephanie match was the match of that night. But I wonder if I wonder if it's just because other commitments she made, why she's not on TV, why she's not hasn't been around, or is it they really want her to get back in ring shape and they're keeping her off until then? So they're having Becky do a feud with Maxine Dupree, who Maxine Dupree and Raquel Rodriguez are 1A and 1B for most improved female wrestler of the year, I think. Maxine has killed it in this feud with Becky. She's to a point where if you told me we're gonna have Maxine Dupree beat Becky Lynch to win the IC title, I don't know how far you'll get as with Maxine Dupree as IC champion, but I don't think anyone would oppose to it at this point. So at least there's one thing they've got right now, and that's the rise of Maxine Dupree right now. But yeah, the AJ Lee stuff is very interesting. I don't know what you are. I don't know what's going on with AJ Lee. I don't know if we're just holding her off till the conclusion of this Maxine and Becky feud. And then we're jumping into Becky versus AJ Lee, which I don't think that's happening at Survivor Series. And I think we'd be stupid to put AJ Lee in WarGames, especially since she hasn't been around at all since September. I think you have to do the AJ Lee Becky Lynch match before the end of the year. So I'm guessing that would probably be Saturday Night Main Event. Because I think Becky's going to end up being in the women's WarGames match, which I'll get to WarGames in a second before we move off of WWE and go to AEW here. But you got to do the AJ Lee Becky Lynch match for the end of the year. Because if we're just waiting until maybe Rumble in Saudi, or we're waiting until WrestleMania to finally do this match, I feel like it's too long of a wait. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We got to figure out probably within the next few weeks. I'm guessing we'll have more of an answer on when AJ Lee is going to return, if she returns by then. But yeah, that's something that's a little interesting on why AJ Lee has not been around at all since WrestlePalooza. So my last WWE topic here, WarGames. I think you had a WarGames match to a degree with the Vision versus everyone else, but it made sense more under a V3 like they used to. But after Rollins' injury, I don't think we need a men's WarGames match this year. And if you were going to do one, the one that makes sense would have been the MFTs versus the Wyatt Six, but the Wyatts are off TV again because Bo's dad is ill, which makes sense. But yeah, that was seemingly dropped because that would have been probably the match you sit here and go towards for WarGames. But it looks like, at least as of last night, you have the MFTs versus a random five of Sami Zayn, Rey Fenix, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the Motor City Machine Guns. I don't think that's WarGames material. That could be WarGames material. I'd argue I'd rather make that one a traditional Survivor Series match more than anything. And then you got the women's side, which really this year there's nothing pointing towards. Yeah, that should be a war. That makes sense for war games. I think that's the issue they have now got themselves into now that they've made war games an official staple of Survivor Series, because we don't need a war games match this year. Like, it would make more sense for Survivor Series. You have the traditional Survivor Series match between the NFTs and Sami Zayn and friends. If you want to do a women's traditional Survivor Series match, fine. You can make it make sense by Captain A. Like Team, fuck it, for an example, Team Maxine Dupree versus Team Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has to put a team together, Maxine has to put a team together, and that's traditional Survivor Series right there. The way they're building towards the women and the men's, it makes no fucking sense. It's not needed. And I mean, it'll probably be a decent card at the end of the day, but we don't need war games this year. I think they should have went back to the old, okay, it's traditional Survivor Series match, traditional Survivor Series match. I'm not asking for brand versus brand shit. Although that would probably make way more sense than these war game matches they are building towards. And then you have Cena's match in San Diego. You're probably doing Cody versus Drew at war games. Punk versus Logan Paul. Instead of in war games, you just have them go 1-on-1. And then that's probably the 4-match limit right there for that dude. And that's something they need to fix in 2026, because these 4 or 5-match cards are not fucking doing it anymore. You're booking for the main roster. You're not booking for fucking NXT anymore, where it's one show. It's not working. Stop doing 4 to 5 matches per card. 6, 7. No, I'm not talking about the effing meme. 6 to 7 matches. That's your sweet spot. That's what you should be doing. Because if you're gonna sit here and do 4 to 5 matches, they better all be fucking good. And that hasn't been the case. So either up at the fucking 6 or maximum 7, or start doing better fucking matches, start putting better shit together. Because this 4 to 5 match PLE bullshit for the main roster is not working. So that's WWE right now in a nutshell. Let's jump to AEW, because on their end, they're doing Blood and Guts coming up. The men's one makes sense, surprisingly. Like, that one actually makes sense. Not against that one. The women's one, I have some issues with some of the people that are in it. Like, I don't think we need Toni Storm in Wargame and Blood and Guts. It feels like Toni Storm's just in there because it's like, quote unquote, like the Charlotte Flair of WrestleMania. Well, we need Charlotte in the first main event for women. Or we need Toni Storm in the first Blood and Guts match for women. I don't think we need Toni Storm in a match. I don't think we need Mercedes Moné in the match. And I'd argue I don't think we need Chris Statlander in a match either. I think you easily could have replaced Statlander and Storm with Ty Conti and Anna Jay. Mina being in it is whatever. It was originally Queen Aminata, but she's hurt because she actually made sense for the match. And then replacing Mercedes on the other side. I mean, you could easily find someone. There has to be someone that makes sense. I just feel like those 3. Well, Sally makes sense because she was feuding with them, but now that she's champion, not even has really anything to do with any of the people there except for Mercedes. It doesn't, they're not needed. Tony makes no fucking sense at all for this match. And neither does Mina, but Mina's only in it because of Tony. So, I don't know. It's going to be a fun night. As what, 2 weeks out? 2 weeks out. They're probably going to close with the women, which I wouldn't. And I'm interested in how they book this, because usually they go balls to the wall in the in a Blood and Guts match. But like, you're going to have 2. Is it going to become redundant? Are the both matches pretty much going to cancel each other out? Because they're going to get overrated by Uncle Dave. They're probably both going to be named 5 stars for some reason. But I feel like one's going to be great. Whichever one's the first one is going to be good. The second one's going to feel redundant because of the first Blood and Guts match of the night. So enough with War Games / Blood and Guts talk. I want to talk about Adam Page because, and I think this is an issue AEW has as a whole right now. I don't know if I can blame Page for his world title reign not being that good, because I thought his first one was underrated. And the way everyone talks about his first reign is pretty much what this reign has been. And I don't know if I could fully blame Paige for it because AEW has a lack of credible main event caliber heels right now. You have Okada. You only have really three. MJF, which you already do, and it looks like they're going to do MJF Hangman Page at World's End. That feels like that has to be your World's End main event. John Moxley, you're not going back to Mox for that world title. And Okada, who barely can defend his own fucking titles. So we're definitely not putting him in a world title feud. Everyone else, I mean, you randomly flipped Joe in the ops because you had no credible heels for Page. Ricochet's not a main event guy. Kyle Fletcher, looking back at it, they should not have done Kyle Fletcher Hangman Page. That's probably where this fucking reign went wrong, is right there. You're not doing Takeshita because then you're hurting New Japan in the process now. Because now their world champion can't be your world champion. So you're not fucking doing that. Like, they don't have many people that are credible heels, and that's on Tony Khan for not being able to build up main event caliber guys as heels. So hopefully this Joe Op shit ends at Full Gear because it's not, none of the feuds Hangman's been in as world champion has done anything for anyone. This has not been a good reign, and World's End MJF should beat him and win the world title. What else we got? FTR's probably winning the tag titles at Full Gear. And then we're getting Cope and Christian versus FTR at World's End. Statlander should beat Monet at Full Gear. And I also believe this loss should start the Mercedes Monet dropping all the titles run. And then you take next year and you start trying to maybe build up Mercedes Monet as a face and get her, and then maybe it all in. That's when she wins the AEW World title, AEW Women's World Championship. She should not beat Chris Statlander at Full Gear. Because at that point, what are we doing? We're just giving Mercedes Monet everything. AEW. Because you randomly booked Mina versus Mercedes for the interim ROH TV title because you wanted Mercedes to beat Ultimo Dragon's title record for most titles held at the same time. And one of fucking Mercedes titles isn't even a real championship, but that's whatever. Actually, two of them aren't. So that makes no sense. So now you got to book Mercedes Monet and Ring of Honor against Red Velvet. Or what are you gonna have? That's Mercedes probably losing that one, I'm guessing. Because I don't see Mercedes Monet showing up on Ring of Honor consistently. So I don't know. Full Gear should be Statlander wins, and it starts the Mercedes Monet run of dropping all these titles, except for obviously the Owen because it's not a real fucking championship title. With AEW, I mean, there's a lot of negatives with AEW right now, but there's not as much as WWE right now. But yeah, the AEW National Championship. What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? It makes no fucking sense. You're introducing the AEW National Championship, which is serving the purpose of what the AEW International Championship was. And so you're introducing another championship on the night you're crowning the women's tag team titles, which you're not even letting that one fucking breathe at all. So you're gonna crown AEW National Championship in a match that shouldn't be fucking happening to begin with. I'm sorry. The Casino Gauntlet matches should only take place at All In. Like, this was the issue last year when we had the Casino Gauntlet match, and like, oh, cool, that's a great concept match, and then we fucking abused it because we did like fucking 8 of them in a row. And I know that's an exaggeration. It's more like 3 or 4. Like, that match should just be All In staple. But the national championship, you don't need it. And for NWA wrestlers whine about it, shut the fuck up. Like, shut the fuck up. You didn't see B whine about New Japan using the Intercontinental Championship. You didn't see AW whine about TNA using the International Championship. So you're crying because they're calling a championship the National Championship. Why don't you focus on making your product better? Because the NWA fucking sucks right now. And it has sucked for years. Well, Billy Corgan revived the company. And it's probably in the title and stuff's probably in a better position now I'll even go that far, than it was before he bought it. That doesn't mean shit. That's like saying Ring of Honor is in a good spot because it's better than almost being out of business, where Ring of Honor is probably doing the worst it's ever fucking been right now, making zero fucking money. Can't even land a fucking TV deal. Most people don't even know really what the fuck's going on with that show. And unless you are subscribed to Honor Club, you have no fucking way in watching or finding out. But with the NWA, your shit's accessible. You're on Roku. Anyone can get the fucking Roku app and find you and watch you. You're on YouTube. Anyone can go on YouTube and watch you. No one wants to because your fucking product sucks. So how about instead of crying that AEW introduced the national championship, you get your fucking shit together from top to bottom. Because that whole fucking company, exception of maybe probably about 3 wrestlers. Kenzie Page is one. Actually, Kenzie Page may honestly be the only fucking one. Everyone else, like, get your fucking shit together. Brian Idol, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Because the only somewhat major promotion that will even fucking hire you is NWA. Shut the fuck up. And a lot of people were in shock to find out, and I was too, that fucking Mikey from the Spirit Squad, who's jacked, is the NWA national champion. AEW is not taking the national championship lineage that NWA has and putting it on their own title. That's not what they're doing. Granted, this title shouldn't fucking exist, but for NWA wrestlers and NWA themselves fucking crying about it, get over yourselves. Why don't you put on a better program consistently and get people actually talking about you? Because the most anyone's talked about you in the last few years is when Natalia showed up and when you had fucking Tyrus as your champion, and that wasn't good publicity. It was more making fun of you because you're not a real fucking promotion. Most wrestling fans, I seriously doubt, can name who the NWA champion is right now because they couldn't name the NWA national champion until fucking Wednesday when all the fucking crying started, aside from Mike Mondo, who literally probably had the best response of everyone from NWA that I saw. So figure it the fuck out, NWA. You have bigger issues than fucking crying about AEW using the national championship name. Get it together. And yes, that title should not fucking exist. So 2 rights can happen here. What else we got for the tap for the rest of the year? This is going to release today, probably before Shots Fired happens. Shots Fired will be live at 10, 10:30, 10 o'clock. We got college football this week. I have a development NBA take that will kick off the show. Yeah, countdown's on. Like, I don't know. I'll check when the show starts and what games we got. World Series series was last week. Probably getting into that one too. But yeah. So what's next for the All Average Wrestling Show? I don't want to like fully commit here to giving you a timetable on when I'm going to be live. Well, record again. My hope is to go live eventually with this. I do feel I have a lot more comfortable just recording, but going live is a whole new different beast, and I'm probably going to do it sometime in December or January. I don't want to put a hard target on that one. Cage Verdict, that one's up in the air. It looks like that might be I might just combine Cage Verdict and Elite Sports Dig, for being honest. Just talk about MMA there. Because the UFC is doing their, looks like their first Paramount event's going to be January 24th, which is good for me because I'll be back from my honeymoon by then. But yeah, so for All Average Wrestling, so I will guarantee that I will be recording and or live in December for end of the year show. But yeah, I don't want to like say and be like, oh, I'm gonna record. We'll be back next week, and then something happens, which has been happening. It's been a lot with this wedding that I am gonna record between the wedding and work and shit. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna record, and we'll be back next week. Yeah, I don't want to commit to a timetable, so I'll get the heads up before I record. But the one thing I can guarantee here is that there will be a recording in December, either live or just like this recording. It'll be the end of the year show, and then yeah. So that is this week's All Average Wrestling Show. Yeah, so I'll see you whenever. Adios.